according to Vedanta, is discussion with others pursuing truth. We back with another reflection on the daily Vedantic. Today's reflection on the heels of yesterday's episode, where we talk about the role of a role model and the cognitive science in the last few years that has proven it's the biggest predictor of achieving one's goals is having a role model in our lives, which is crazy in its own right to distill all of the variables, at least the latest and greatest of cognitive science, distilling all of the variables that one could have, intelligence, work ethic, towards financial or cultural upbringing, the number one biggest predictor being the role of their role model. And even having a role model being so much more valuable than other variables and achieving goals that we set out for ourselves in a 10-year span. Cool, large-scale study that we talk about. On the heels of that episode, though, one of the things that I recognized after talking about that was that it is a huge gamble when we choose our role models based on them having what we want. It is a huge gamble that we know what we want. For example, you're an undergrad and you say, I want to go to medical school. And all I want to be is the best heart surgeon I can possibly be because I had a parent that passed away from heart complications. So you set that goal, that ideal out there for what you want to accomplish over the next 10, 12, 15 years. But have you really thought about what you really, really want? You might choose a role model that is an amazing heart surgeon with a disastrous life. Heart surgeon that, and it's not too hard to spend a few seconds imagining someone that might be successful in one realm, but doesn't have the life that you want. Doesn't have the relationships that you want. Maybe they're twice divorced, no longer speaking to one of their children. And yet they embody an ideal in a professional sense that you say, yeah, that's what I want. So what is today's reflection on? It's on spending enough time cultivating an idea of what you truly want. Before you choose a role model, before you choose a guru, a philosophical path, because you might be staring truth right in the eye. And with the wrong direction of thoughts of, what will this get me? Will this help me in my job? With that thought of what will this get me, you might not see any value in truth. If you're so concerned with, will this get me the public admiration that I'm going for? Will this get me the financial goals that I have for myself? Will this get me the significant other that I'm chasing with all of these different peacock walk things that I'm doing to get their attention? There's this phrase that when a pickpocket sees a sage, all they see are pockets. The sage might be able to offer, and what Vedanta tells us, what we really want is freedom. And within that, our route to freedom is peace and prosperity, both of these things. That's ultimately what we're chasing with everything that we chase. Peace and prosperity. Agitation that we might be alone or that we don't have a significant other, we chase that with external pursuit of a significant other so that we can have inner peace. Or financial goal that can give us this prosperity that then will also allow us to afford a comfortable life or even more financial prosperity so that it will give us the admiration of others, that will give us that inner peace. We don't even realize trying to be the best heart surgeon we can, what we're trying to do is push back the wave of mortality, death. Or chasing prestige, admiration, under the guise of, my parent died and I want to help others avoid that suffering. The mind plays epically savvy tricks on us to come up with really sophisticated explanations for our selfishness, for our pursuits around perceived insecurity. Epically savvy at coming up with, well, you should do this to pursue fame or financial prosperity because it's also going to have this extra nice little silver lining to humanity. And you're really just chasing to fill some gaping hole within you around an insecurity you have. For the pickpocket, it could be a sage that has the manual, the map to get that peace and prosperity, but all they see are pockets. What can they get out of those pockets? Most people pray for relief or prosperity. They actively use philosophy or spirituality just to get those things in a worldly sense. And it's like the person meditating, repeating a mantra or focusing on their breath to decrease stress just so that they can become a better corporate drone. What is on offer is so much more than becoming a slightly less stressed corporate drone. But we can only see that if we contemplate deeply. Without editing our ambitions, contemplate deeply what we want. Is it fame? Is it financial? Or is it freedom? Is it admiration? Is it a significant other? Is it a dollar amount or is it true prosperity? And is it just prosperity or is it both peace and prosperity? This philosophy gives you a bit of a head start on what we ultimately want when it tells us that what we're chasing is peace and prosperity, and both of them, not one or the other, but both. Because that is the route to freedom. This philosophy also tells us how to get there. But it only has value if we contemplate, reflect deeply on what we want and see if those two match up. Not to take my word for it, not to take this philosophy's word for it, not to take a mentor's word for what they think you want, but for you to see, but for you to reflect, discuss with others, reflect, discuss with others some more, reflect, discuss with others some more, because the deepest form of reflection is actually through discussion with others pursuing a path of truth. Having those discussions, having the discussions might show you that discussion with the doctor you want to be. You realize, oh shit, that's not the life I actually want. And I've deluded myself into them having the things that I want, and they barely even have those things or the price that they've paid. But the life that they actually lead is not what you want. And you discover that through discussion. Having to talk through. And I love that Vedanta says that you can reflect isolatedly in the morning alone. A deeper form of reflection is writing, because then you have to articulate it. You can spend 250 words in 5 minutes trying to outline what you truly want in life. And when you are pushed to put pen to paper, 250 words, you get like 9 words in and you're like, holy shit. It's so vague. I actually don't really know. I'm using all these euphemisms and I have no idea what I really want for my life. Write out 250 words of what the ideal life for you looks like. 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 250 words. You write it out and you're like, I really need to think deeply on filling some of these gaps. I thought it was kind of in my head, and I have no idea. After 9 or 10 words, it all just kind of spills into vagueness. And even those 9 or 10 words don't really outline what I want. But even higher, highest form of reflection, according to Vedanta, is discussion with others pursuing truth. And in that discussion, it's like iron sharpens iron. We really see the gaps. We really find out how little we know what we're talking about. But by doing that kind of work, foundational work, maybe we realize, okay, this is not an equation of speed, of moving faster, of how do I get more? But it is an equation of direction, shifting our direction from an outline, explicit articulation outline, and shift towards what we really want. And that outline then informs the role models that we choose, the practices that we take up. Jeff Bezos is really big on this statement of start from success and work backwards, rather than starting from today and working forwards. That actually maps perfectly to the way that Vedanta talks about it as well. Start from the ideal and let that lead every step of the way, versus starting from where you are and just pursuing activity. So start from success and work backwards, and maybe you don't end up the slightly less stressed corporate drone. Or worse, the pickpocket that sees the sage and only sees pockets. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.